TalkFCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. And since now we've reached the halfway point of the season, Barcelona are currently not in action, of course. What I thought we'd do today is talk about those out on loan, because Barcelona have a very good squad, as we know, but they also have some very talented young players and experienced players too, away on loan. We, in today's video, are going to be talking about those 6 players who are currently registered to Barcelona. It's all coming up. There's some great talent here. Let's do it. And if we start first and foremost with Marc Cucurella, because after a slightly confusing summer of transfer activity there surrounding the young Spaniard, he eventually ended up at Getafe on a season-long loan deal, and they there have the option to purchase him outright for just €6 million at the end of that loan deal if they wish to do so. And with Cucurella having started every single one of Getafe's 18 La Liga games this season, and doing so really in a team that right now are flying. They're in 6th place at Getafe, playing some really good stuff. They're enjoying themselves, and Cucurella has been a really big part of that. You've got to say, so far they've been really happy with the contribution that he has provided their team. And Cucurella hasn't just found himself in action in La Liga either. He's also experienced some games wider afield, of course, not just domestically, but also in Europe, with Getafe impressively qualifying for the knockout stages in the Europa League. Cucurella there playing 5 times in Europe, and in the next round they'll be facing Ajax. That could be a massive game there for Cucurella. And much like his time with Eibar coming last season, the Spaniard has played the majority of his football this season at left midfield and not there at left back, which we saw him most of the time at Barcelona B. He's getting more further forward. I think he enjoys playing there a little bit further forward up the field and without so much defensive responsibility. And to be honest, you can see the rewards this season for Cucurella. His involvement there higher up the pitch has brought him a goal and 3 assists so far in La Liga this season. And of course, what he also gives Getafe, they're a team who do like to play on the counter. They're very organised. And what you have there when you play Cucurella on the left-hand side is that added solidity in your defensive structure. And certainly, he fits their team perfectly. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see them sign him permanently. He's having a good season. And from one fullback to another, we now move on to Juan Miranda, of course, another talented left-back that's come through the Barcelona system in recent years. And after really failing to make the impact that we'd all hoped that he would do last season in the first team, and after Valverde, to be perfectly honest, didn't count on Miranda in any way, shape or form, it was certainly said this season he had to go out on loan. He didn't really want to continue there if Barcelona be at a lower level for even more time, so he went out on loan there and joined Schalke there, not just for the coming season, but on a 2-year loan deal there, off to the Bundesliga. And it's safe to say, to be fair, Miranda did take his time to get going in Germany. He had to wait a long time there to actually make his debut, but into the month of December, he has started now to prove himself, to show Schalke exactly what he can do. Right now, he's only made 3 appearances there in all competitions. He started, though, their last 2 matches against Wolfsburg and Freiburg, and certainly there are a few signs that he's going to be playing more as the season develops. Under David Wagner in 2020, I've got good confidence there. We are going to be seeing more of Miranda at left back, and although Miranda's time in the first team never really got going at Barcelona, I still hope that he does well, because certainly there at Spanish underage level, at under 19 level, he's been brilliant, a really impressive player, and I do believe there's talent in there. It's all about bringing that out. It's all about him there having experience, having confidence, and at just 19 years old right now, he's still got time. He's still got more than enough time to prove himself. After his loan deal there is over at Schalke, he'll come back with a lot more experience under his belt, and who knows what could happen as time goes on. We now move into midfield as we discuss Oriol Busquets, who has loaned the Dutch side FC Twente in the summer for the coming season, and there's no buy option either in that deal, and he's settled pretty well so far in the Netherlands, with 13 Eredivisie appearances in total there for Twente, starting 12 of their 18 games in the league so far this season. And surprisingly this season, I was very interested to see actually that Oriol Busquets hasn't played all of his games in that natural holding midfield role, because as we all know, he's much like his namesake Sergio. He plays there in the defensive midfield role. He's very good with the ball at his feet, a very technical player, but he's played a lot of this season at centre-back, which is really interesting there. Obviously, he's that first line of build-up from FC Twente. He's very good with the ball at his feet. He can easily play at the back. I can certainly see the advantages there, but it should be interesting there, just having some experience in that centre-back role. That could be an interesting trait there to add to his characteristics as a footballer, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens to Oriol at the end here of his loan spell in the Netherlands, because from his time at Barcelona B, he's always been a player that have liked. I do like to watch Oriol Busquets. I think certainly in a Barcelona team, in a true Barcelona system, he's somebody who could thrive. I've always wanted to see him given an opportunity in that midfield, to deputise for Sergio Busquets. I would love to see something like that. But of course, he's turning 21 in January. These are big months for him now. A very, very big end of the season is needed from Oriol. He'll likely come back to Barcelona. But what happens then? His future is still up in the air. Plenty to prove, but he is a player I do like. And of course, we do have to speak here about a very familiar face. Rafinha Alcantara, of course, joined his old side Celta Vigo on loan back in the summer, but he did renew his contract at the time in the process just to ensure there that he didn't leave for free come the summer of 2020. So Barcelona there just extending it until 2021. And despite their suffering an early injury in his days at Celta there in the early weeks of the season, I'm delighted to say that Rafinha's loan spell has been relatively injury-free from that moment on. And that's what he needs. He needs to play football week in, week out, without any disruptions there through injury. And this season so far, he's started 10 of Celta's 18 games in La Liga this season, featuring there in 13 in total. And to be fair, it's in a very, very difficult season, not for Rafinha as such, but for Celta Vigo. They've really struggled in La Liga this season. They're already on their second coach of the season. And I think, to be honest, it's going to be now, under Oscar Garcia, that we're going to see the best of Rafinha. Because I think this season, when you look at it there, he hasn't really been given a role that he can thrive in. He's not been given a consistent place in the team whereby he's central, whereby he's left, right. He's been all over the place, and that doesn't really suit him. He needs to have something there that's permanent, that he can feel comfortable in, and I think under Oscar Garcia, we are going to see him in a much more prominent role there, most likely down the middle. He scored his first goal of the season just 2 weeks ago against Mallorca, and Celta will be hoping here, as the season goes on, they're going to need him. They need him to contribute, and certainly Rafinha will be looking to end the season on a high. And staying in midfield, it is now time to move on to a young player who I feel has very much so slipped under the radar when you're talking here about Barcelona players currently playing away from the club. Because we've got to talk about Pedri. And we've got to talk about Pedri because this is an outstanding young talent. He's just 17 years old. He can play there in the midfield area. He'll join the club at the end of this season for around €5 million. That transfer fee there could rise depending on certain variables. But right now, he's playing his football back at Las Palmas until the end of the season. And we've got to talk about him because he's so exciting. And I think we found ourselves a big talent here. He's somebody who can play right the way across the field in the final third, whether it's in the centre, whether it's off to the left. He's played quite a lot of his football this season off to the left-hand side. But even when he's out there, he likes to drift. He likes to come inside when he needs to. He's very good with the ball at his feet. When I've watched him, when I've watched a lot there of his highlights, you can see quite clearly from the word go, he's got brilliant close control. With the ball at his feet, he can manoeuvre. He can certainly do a lot in tight spaces. That's what you've got to look for a Barcelona attacker. Not just what they can do with the ball, but also when there's pressure on them. Can they get out there of those tight spaces? Can they move between the lines? And certainly this season, he's been so impressive. For a 17-year-old playing in the Spanish second division, he's been really mature. And this season, he's featured in 16 of Las Palmas' 21 league games, and he's contributed there with 3 goals and 4 assists to his name. He's a big talent. He's going to be back at Barcelona in the summer. Where he'll end up then, we'll have to wait and see. But certainly one to keep an eye on. And just finally, guys, of course, we have to talk about our record signing, Philippe Coutinho. It's still incredible, really, isn't it? The fact that our record signing there is out on loan. It's all kinds of wrong. But of course, after a summer there of speculation, Coutinho finally ended up joining Bayern on loan until the end of the season. The purchase option there, of course, is set at €120 million. And I think, to be honest there, much like Rafinha's time at Celta, where it's been quite turbulent for the club, I think Coutinho has suffered there a very similar season at Bayern. It's not been easy going there at Bayern. They've had their troubles off the pitch. They've had their troubles on the pitch as well. He's also on his second coach of the season. So that hasn't exactly been an ideal situation for him. Although I do feel Coutinho has shown a lot more glimpses of exactly what he's capable of. And what he's capable of is goals, assists, getting involved there in the final third when you really want your players to get on the ball and show their quality. He's done that on a number of occasions this season. And I think one of his standout displays, we spoke about it a few weeks ago, it was against Werder Bremen. He scored a stunning hat-trick, really placed some phenomenal goals in those 3 and also provided 2 assists in that game. And that means now that Coutinho sits on 7 goals and 7 assists so far in all competitions. And he's probably enjoyed this season playing a lot more central. I think that's something that he never got at Barcelona. He was always out on the left, and certainly I felt at times like he was just put out there and forgotten about, really. He didn't receive a lot of the ball, but at Bayern, he receives the ball a lot more often. And even when he's out there on the left, because at times for Bayern, he's still played left wing, but he has that license to come inside, to drift inside there, play just behind Lewandowski, and that's exactly the kind of position that Coutinho can thrive in, and I think we've seen that at Bayern. The big question is, though, what's going to happen at the end of this loan spell? Are Bayern there going to pay 120 million there to make this move permanent? I'm not so sure about that. I think it's a big fee there for Bayern to have to pay out to keep him. I'm not really sure that's going to happen. And then if he returns to Barcelona, what happens then? What's the long-term plan here for Philippe Coutinho? It's a big 2020 for him. We're going to have to wait and see. So that there, guys, is a full update on the players who are currently away from Barcelona out on loan and exactly how they're getting on. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Who are you excited about in a Barcelona shirt? Who do you feel can return and actually make an impact? Let me know all of those thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you as always for joining me. And of course, I will see you soon. But until next time, as always, Vasca el Barça.